In the middle of the night, deep in the mountains, the sounds of battle break out. An old man appears, standing still and watching the scene. He says that quite a crowd of guests has gathered. Outside, a group of armed men shows up. Opposite them stand Buddhist monks, led by a senior monk. The leader of the attackers shouts that the great demonic cult is finally cornered like rats. He adds that it's not just the 9 schools they once looked down on. Countless martial sects have now joined forces. This man is Dam Young from the Jongnam sect. He goes on to say they will pay the price for their arrogance. One of the demonic sect leaders gives the order to open the gates. They open slightly, revealing a terrifying I believed to belong to the current form of the heavenly demon. A young hero steps out, and everyone quickly recognizes him as the future leader of the demonic sect. Leader Dam Young calls him Gishin, who responds with a mocking and careless look. One of the attackers yells in anger, vowing to end all the evil caused by the demonic sect right away. Gishin mocks the man, asking what nonsense he is shouting and wonders if the group has gone mad from old age. The faces of the senior attackers grow tense and worried. Gishin calmly states that he will kill every person present with his own hands today. The attackers are stunned, their expressions shifting from his sharp threat. Leader Dam Young calls Gishin arrogant and full of pride. Gishin replies with sarcasm, telling him to stop talking and come fight him directly. Dam Young rushes forward with power, shouting for everyone to wipe out the source of evil. The other attackers raise their voices in support, agreeing to destroy the demonic sect completely. Gishin points at them mockingly, saying they don't understand their true position. Then, he gives a clear order to his followers to tear all enemies apart without mercy. The fierce battle begins as the two sides clash. A monk jumps forward and attacks one of the sect members in a violent strike. He is then hit by a strong blow that makes him scream in pain. He falls, twisting in agony from the attack. Commander Gishin starts his counterattack, moving ahead while covered in a dark and frightening aura. The other fighters pause as they see his terrifying advance. Gishin rushes at them with great speed, wrapped in a dark glow. With a powerful strike, he crushes his enemies with overwhelming force. One fighter tries to encourage his comrades, saying they shouldn't be afraid because they have a strong brother they can rely on. But Gishin keeps up his violent attack, landing sharp blows that shake the battlefield and split his opponent. Despite the screams of pain and rage, he pushes forward, crushing everyone who stands in his way. The men begin to retreat in fear, saying the heavenly demon has descended among them, and no one warned them he was this terrifyingly strong. One of them is struck with a deadly blow and screams in pain. Gishin continues to unleash powerful strikes that no one can resist. He mocks those trying to kill him, laughing at their weak skills. He sarcastically wonders if this is really how much they value him, trying to end his life with such little effort. At the same time, Dam Young admits that Gishin is the true founder of the current demonic sect and regrets not having recruited him into their own. He also says he knows Gishin is the embodiment of the heavenly demon, but insists they didn't come unprepared. He promises to keep his word and orders one of his mysterious men to bring back Gishin's head. Suddenly, a cloaked fighter appears, dressed in blue and glowing with strange power. Gishin looks at him with surprise, wondering who he is, as he has never seen him before. The mysterious fighter suddenly launches a quick attack, but Gishin blocks it with skill and strength. The fighter continues his assault. Gishin is shocked by his power and questions whether someone this strong really exists in the Central Plains. He mocks the man and asks if he comes from Shaolin, Wudong, or Jongnam. The mysterious fighter stays silent, not answering. Gishin scolds him harshly for showing no respect to his elders. Then he strikes back with rage, saying that if this man had joined his sect with such bad manners, he would have been beaten badly. The two glare at each other with challenge and fury, and a fierce clash begins as their powers collide with great force. The mysterious fighter pauses for a moment and admits that Gishin's strength is truly impressive, but in the next instant, he swears that Gishin will die here by his hands. Gishin looks stunned, unable to believe what he's hearing. Before he can react, the mysterious man strikes with incredible speed, piercing Gishin's body. Gishin stands in shock, thinking he couldn't even see the move. It was too fast to follow. In the end, his face shows shock and tension, clearly shaken by the new opponent's threat and the seriousness of his injury. The masked man draws a glowing sword, saying this is the only option left for him now. Gishin bursts into rage with overwhelming power, demanding what the man has been talking about from the start. The masked fighter is stunned that his wounded opponent still gives off such terrifying pressure, even with a serious injury to his stomach. Gishin yells in anger, speaking about the struggle it took to reach his current level, saying his enemies could never understand. Violent flames light up the area as Gishin freezes at the sight before him. The sect leader has been attacked, and Gishin lets out a loud cry, facing his enemies. One of them rushes in and lands a deadly blow on a member of the demonic sect. After that, Gishin screams in both pain and fury. His rage surges again as he shouts fierce accusations at his enemies. Even in pain, he keeps yelling with pure anger and stubbornness. As the battle grows more intense, a sudden weakness hits him. He starts to doubt whether he can survive and wonders if this is really how it ends. In this vulnerable moment, memories return. His harsh training, the people he once knew, and the journey that shaped him. A piece of advice from his master flashes in his mind, making him reflect deeply, even though he once laughed at it. In the darkness of his thoughts, he decides he won't allow himself to die like this. After moments of silence, he hears an annoying sound and wonders what's happening around him. To his surprise, someone calls his name, telling him to wake up. He opens his eyes and finds himself surrounded by a group of young people mocking him, confused by his sudden return to consciousness. One of them speaks with sarcasm, announcing the start of another round of their brutal game. Gishin looks around, unsure of who these people are. Suddenly, a strange window appears in front of him, telling him to complete a task, cleaning up trash in just 30 seconds. He feels dizzy as the countdown begins quickly before his eyes. As he stands there nervously, trying to understand the situation, someone approaches him strangely, while all he can think about is his recent death. Doubt creeps into his mind, and he starts to wonder if everything that happened was just a strange dream. One of the students announces the start of the next round, warning the young man to get ready properly. The countdown begins as the young man braces himself for what's coming. Suddenly, his thoughts are cut off by a surprise attack from Eujene, who strikes the opponent just as he is about to attack. In that moment, the young man stands there, clearly angry and annoyed at the students, while a message appears confirming the start of the mission and telling him to clean the trash seriously this time. One of the students crashes violently to the ground, shocking everyone around. The others turn in silence to look at Eujene, who stands with glowing red eyes and a dark aura around him. They begin whispering in fear and confusion, trying to figure out what just happened. At the same time, Gishin, now inside Eugene's body, sees a mission message appear: clean the trash within 30 seconds. Reward: unknown. Failure penalty: death. His shock and anxiety grow deeper. Eujene wonders if he's gone completely insane and freezes when he reads the words, failure penalty, death. But he quickly regains control and starts to smile, filled with confidence and defiance. Suddenly, he remembers that he had already died in his past life. A sharp pain hits his chest, and he angrily wonders what is going on. Could he really still be alive? Then, a new message appears, stating clearly that he has been possessed. He's completely stunned. He realizes this is a technique used by a sect known as the Blood Sect and starts wondering who did this to him. Another part of the mission appears, saying that if he completes the first task and then finishes the final one, he will be allowed to return to his original body at any moment he chooses. He questions if any of this is actually real. He remembers his youth and wonders if he's truly being given a second chance. A new message flashes, telling him to hurry. With only 23 seconds left and 3 enemies remaining, Eujene realizes this is no illusion but a real event. He confirms it through the strange place he's in and the sharp pain he feels. He speaks angrily to the mysterious message in front of him, swearing he won't let the person playing with his body go unpunished. For now, he decides to follow along and turn the situation in his favor. He shouts at the surrounding students, challenging them to come at him. One of them charges forward, cursing and yelling that Eujene will die today. Jiajin counters with a powerful punch and coldly mocks how slow his opponent is. Then, with another powerful strike, he sends his opponent flying. The attacking student crashes into the wall, leaving everyone around in complete shock. Another student rushes at him, swearing loudly in anger, but Jiajin dodges the attack. Though he starts to feel annoyed, he quickly gets up, grabs the student's arm, and tells him coldly that someone like him has no right to order him around. He stares him down with a sharp, threatening glare and says he will no longer take orders from anyone. Jiajin strikes the student with terrifying force, warning him not to come close again or he will kill him. Then, with fierce defiance, he lands a heavy blow and shouts that he will kill him with his own hands, calling him a bastard. Jiajin begins to search for the last remaining person to finish the mission. Breathing heavily from exhaustion, he looks around, trying to find the final student from the gang. Annoyed and confused, he asks the other students where the last one went, since he's nowhere to be seen in the room. One of the students, looking nervous, tells him the last person has just escaped. Hearing that, Jiajin panics, realizing he's in serious trouble. A countdown message appears, warning that only 5 seconds remain and the penalty for failure is death. Meanwhile, the fleeing student runs quickly down the hallway, trying to get away. As the countdown hits 4 seconds, he keeps running and taunts Jiajin, saying he'll die as soon as Dong Ho arrives. At 3 seconds, he continues to mock him with a smug grin. With only 2 seconds left, he looks full of confidence. Suddenly, Jiajin dashes forward at incredible speed toward the fleeing student. As the countdown nears the end, he shouts in rage, demanding to know where the boy thinks he's going. He strikes him hard, knocking the student violently to the floor. Jiajin exhales in relief as a message appears. Mission completed successfully. At that moment, a girl appears, calling out to him in concern. She asks if he's okay, her eyes filled with worry. He looks at her, confused, not sure why she's so concerned. She quickly assumes the person on the ground tried to harass or hit him. She lightly scolds him, saying he's been ignoring her lately, and asks if he's going through adolescence. Then she notices his injured hand and, alarmed, asks how it got hurt. Pointing at the student lying nearby, she asks if he's the one who caused the injury. She grows angry and starts blaming the fallen student, holding him responsible for Jiajin's injury. After her emotional outburst, she takes a deep breath and turns back with a calm smile. Suddenly, she grabs his hand and firmly says they need to go to the nurse's office. Jiajin hesitates and tries to pull back, asking her to wait for a moment. Inside the nurse's office, the girl tells him to rest properly and urges him to let her know if anything happens. She looks at him again and clearly asks him to call her if he ever needs anything. After she leaves, Jiajin stays seated, feeling strange about everything that just happened. He wonders why he feels so weak and what's wrong with his frail body. He checks his pulse with his hand, trying to understand his strange condition. He realizes that his internal energy, the flow of his power, and his circulation are all severely disrupted. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through him, making him jolt where he sits. He covers his mouth in pain and surprise, shocked that his body can't even handle such a small amount of energy. His face twists in anger and frustration at his own weakness. He shouts loudly, demanding to know how he ended up in such a fragile body. He who was once a powerful leader of a demonic sect. He remembers the past, standing in a place that looked like an ancient temple under the setting sun. At that time, a dignified elder stood before him, speaking with authority. This man was the leader of the demonic sect, and Jiajin respectfully asked why he had been called. The elder reminded him about a strange prisoner they had captured recently. Jiajin remembered the odd man and said he recalled him. The elder explained that the prisoner kept making strange claims, the most important being that he wasn't from this world. Jiajin responded with mocking curiosity, wondering where such a man could possibly come from, and whether he had any real origin. The elder replied seriously that the man claimed to be from an entirely different world. Jiajin laughed loudly, brushing it off as madness. But the elder warned him not to take it lightly and said the matter should be considered seriously and with caution. Now, in the present, Jiajin regrets not asking more questions back then and just laughing it off. He sits down and tries to meditate, confused about why his new body is so weak it can't handle even a small amount of internal energy. He looks angry but determined as he tries again. From above, he looks down at the modern city, stunned and sure that this is not the world he once knew. He now clearly understands that he is in a strange world he has never lived in before. He lies on the ground, discouraged, and questions what this new life really means. Suddenly, he remembers the matter of the reward that was promised earlier. He quickly stands up in frustration and shouts loudly, demanding to receive his reward right away. He keeps yelling toward the sky, accusing the system of trying to trick and ignore him. He wonders, confused, how he can bring back that message or strange window again. All at once, the message reappears in front of him, telling him that he has received a reward for successfully completing the mission. Eujene flares up again, demanding to be sent back to his original world without delay. With strong determination and anger, he declares that there are things he must return to protect. He is completely stunned when a strange energy surrounds him, lighting up everything around him. He looks at his hands in shock as he feels the energy flowing through them, bringing a strange but pleasant sensation. A new message appears, informing him that his body is now releasing a fragrant aroma, which leaves him confused and surprised. He begins to feel embarrassed and annoyed, especially when he actually notices the scent coming from his own body. He yells angrily, shouting at the system, insisting that this can't be his real reward. He tries to grab the glowing message forcefully, but it vanishes in front of his eyes. Frustrated, he runs to the rooftop, shouting as he looks around, still searching for the message. He keeps yelling in anger, when suddenly, he hears a girl's voice calling him a loser. The girl tells him to lower his annoying voice, which both shocks and angers him, especially since he hadn't noticed her at all. The girl stands calmly and says she can't focus because of all his noise. Then, with sarcasm, she asks if he rented the place just for himself. Eujene is taken aback by her strange question and, clearly confused, repeats the word rented and asks what she means. Noticing his sudden change in tone, the girl gently asks if he's feeling unwell. After a short pause, he replies that she's not entirely wrong. The girl sighs and coldly tells him to get a grip, calling him a loser again. She looks away and mutters under her breath that this is why everyone ignores him. Suddenly, Eujene steps closer to her, which startles her and makes her fall silent. He asks seriously, with clear irritation, why everyone keeps calling him a loser. Before she can respond, another person suddenly bursts into the room, slamming the door open. A furious young man storms in, shouting that he's found the loser, and swears that today, he will die. Eujene responds with a cold and sarcastic tone, clearly annoyed by the guy's appearance once again. Dong-ho stands before him with open mockery, calling him a loser who has completely lost his mind. Eujene replies with matching sarcasm, asking if this guy is really supposed to be the leader of their group. Without warning, Dong-ho launches a powerful attack. Eujene tries to block it but quickly realizes his body hasn't recovered its strength yet. Dong-ho continues his brutal assault while Eujene struggles to defend himself, visibly having a hard time. Blow after blow lands on Eujene as Dong-ho strikes furiously, shouting in anger. The fight grows more intense, filled with rage and violence. As Dong-ho blames Eujene for provoking him, the girl begins yelling in frustration, demanding that Eujene stay away from her while fighting. Dong-ho takes advantage of Eugene's distraction and lands a harsh blow. Eujene loses his balance and crashes into the girl, sending them both stumbling until she falls to the ground. Someone screams loudly after seeing the girl fall from above, while another person panics, realizing they're on the 5th floor. Dong-ho stands stunned as Eujene calmly says the girl won't die, but she might end up with a fracture or two. Another person looks at Eujene in shock and calls him insane for speaking so casually. Suddenly, a system message appears, requesting him to save the girl who fell because of his actions, offering an unknown reward. He questions in frustration how any of this could be his fault. Eujene mutters to himself while looking down, prompting someone nearby to ask angrily what he's whispering about. Eujene turns to him, confused, and asks what he's planning to do now. Then, without warning, Jiajin jumps off the edge, shocking everyone as they scream that he's lost his mind. While falling, Jiajin says to himself that the reward better be worth it this time. He reaches out mid-fall, trying to grab the girl and save her. Dust fills the air from the heavy impact as they hit the ground. Jiajin manages to save the girl, holding her tightly to shield her from the fall. She looks up at him, her face red with both embarrassment and anger, calling him a loser in a flustered voice. Jiajin calmly asks if she was scared, which only makes her more embarrassed and annoyed. She responds with sarcasm and awkwardness. From her voice, Jiajin can tell she's not badly hurt, but he's caught off guard by how suddenly his heart starts racing. The other students begin to talk among themselves, unsure of what to do next after what just happened. Dong-ho suddenly decides they need to leave the place right away. When another student asks if that's really the best decision, Dong-ho snaps back with sarcasm, saying that if he doesn't like it, he can handle the situation himself. The student, feeling embarrassed, reluctantly agrees. Suddenly, Dong-ho senses a terrifying energy behind him and freezes, his body tense. Jiajin appears, surrounded by a dark aura, his glowing red eyes staring down at Dong-ho from above. Overwhelmed with fear, Dong-ho wonders who Eujene really is and how his body can look this terrifying. Jiajin calmly calls his name to get his attention, then asks sarcastically where Dong-ho is rushing off to. Dong-ho stares at him in disbelief, finally realizing that this is the same weakling he had once looked down on. Jiajin calmly says that, thanks to them, he has received an excellent reward this time. A message appears before him, revealing that he has obtained Ascension Power, which allows him to use a portion of Gishin's original strength for 10 seconds. His expression turns dark and threatening as he declares with menace that he will now beat his opponent nearly to death. After a brutal round of fighting, the remaining two students are shown kneeling in defeat, hands raised in surrender. Jiajin looks at one of them with a mocking tone and asks if he was the one who had called him weak earlier. While sitting on top of one student lying in pain, that same student begins describing Jiajin as weak and a complete loser. But suddenly, the injured student smiles and says Jiajin is not like that anymore. Jiajin stays silent, listening as all the insults he's ever heard echo in his mind. Then, the student turns to him with excitement and says he's not worthless anymore. He's now his master. Jiajin, clearly annoyed, raises his fist and sarcastically asks what exactly he means by master. The student, scared, replies with a sad tone that Jiajin is being too harsh with him. Jiajin pauses for a moment, thinking quietly. He feels that the power he used earlier wasn't overwhelming, but it was definitely his. A confident smile appears on his face as he reassures himself that this belief comes from something simple. He remembers his past, when he was so powerful that no one dared to copy his strength. He becomes more certain that his return to power isn't a fantasy. He raises his hand and looks at it carefully, confirming to himself that this return to his old self is real. Standing up in anger, he thinks about the mysterious person who placed him in this strange situation and wonders who they are. Afterward, he begins looking around with amazement, calling the place strange and completely unfamiliar. He notices a group of girls walking by in short outfits, which surprises him even more. Then he sees another group of students with strange hairstyles, adding to his confusion. He wonders to himself how bizarre everything around him seems. He grows even more puzzled when he sees other students whispering and staring at him, wondering if something is on his face. One student laughs and says maybe it's because he's literally sitting on top of them. Jiajin responds coldly, asking what the problem is with that. He confidently adds that he has always sat like this and sarcastically asks if the others want him to carry them too like he's doing with the rest. The student replies nervously, assuring him that, of course, they don't want that. After a while, Jiajin starts feeling hungry from using his brain so much, which confuses the students carrying him. With excitement, he points ahead and orders them to go straight to a Chinese restaurant to fill his stomach. One of the students carrying him asks, confused, why he picked the Chinese place. Jiajin begins eating with great appetite while the other students sit around watching him in silence. One student comments with amazement at how fast Jiajin is eating, both impressed and surprised. Jiajin says the food is excellent and praises the restaurant. A student tries to start a conversation with him, but Eujene cuts him off and asks why he isn't eating too. The student quickly replies, nervous, that of course he'll eat, and begins eating tensely. Eujene continues eating calmly while someone nearby silently watches him. Suddenly, someone stands up angrily and kicks a table, interrupting everyone. He yells in frustration, objecting to what Dong-ho and the rest of the gang are doing, eating so casually. Dong-ho becomes visibly flustered when he sees the person walking toward him. Sanong-ho, realizing things are about to get serious, Eujene keeps eating without any concern. Sango glares at him with a frightening, angry look. He scoffs and says the rumors were true. It seems people are actually carrying Eujene through the halls on their shoulders. One of Eugene's followers responds awkwardly and with embarrassment, trying to laugh it off with a sarcastic comment. Sango's group bursts into loud, mocking laughter, joking that they should carry him too. Sango joins in, saying maybe Eujene will get a luxury car next. Eujene doesn't understand the comment about a luxury car and keeps eating without interest. Then Sango steps up to him and tells him in a threatening tone to go to the rooftop immediately. He leans closer and mockingly asks if Eujene is scared now. After Sango walks away, Eujene stays seated, calmly finishing his meal without showing any reaction. Then, without warning, he suddenly shouts towards Sango with a sarcastic tone, asking if he doesn't even know that dogs at least wait until others finish eating. His voice rings with cold mockery. Sango turns around, shocked by the boldness, and angrily asks if Eujene is seriously trying to die here. Eujene snaps back, now furious, yelling a direct challenge without hesitation. Then, out of nowhere, he congratulates the others, leaving them confused. They ask him what he means by that. He tells them, with a smile full of sarcasm, that they can now descend the mountain, meaning they're free to abandon their current positions. The two standing nearby blink in confusion, clearly not following his meaning. Eujene smirks and explains that it's because a new challenger has appeared, and the real fun is about to begin. Soon, everyone gathers on the rooftop, where several students are already waiting. They eye Eujene with mocking and disrespectful expressions. Sango scoffs loudly and asks if the group ate something rotten today. He then turns to Eujene and demands to know if this is some kind of joke. One of Eugene's peers nervously walks up and tries to warn him, saying that Sango's group isn't like the others. They're far stronger and have support from the older, more dangerous students. Eujene listens, but responds in a mocking tone, saying he already knows that very well. Inwardly, he thinks that none of these kids matter to him, not when something far more important is at stake. At that moment, the mission window appears again, floating before his eyes. It asks him to clean up the trash again, with the same terrifying penalty. Failure means death. Instead of being afraid, Eujene smiles with calm confidence. He feels this is the perfect time to carry out his next step. He decides to start taming a few of these students and use them as tools for his future plans. Just then, the others look up at the sky and notice the weather shifting. The clouds turn dark, and the air feels heavier. In that ominous moment, they see Eujene charging forward at a speed that seems almost unreal. Some students begin laughing at him, saying he must have finally gone insane. A confident young man steps out to block him, ready for a fight. He shows off his boxing stance, bragging that he was trained by a former champion. He keeps mocking Eujene, saying he's been preparing for this moment. With a smug grin, he asks if Eujene truly believes he can beat someone like him. The young man laughs louder, thinking Eujene is frozen in fear. But Eujene stays perfectly still. He doesn't speak. Instead, he observes the opponent calmly, and something feels off. The young man suddenly senses a strange and overwhelming pressure radiating from Eugene's silent presence. The boy's cocky expression fades as unease settles in. Eujene finally speaks in a low, even tone, calling the young man's moves sloppy and weak. The story flashes back to Joe's past, where he trains under a strict coach. The coach scolds him harshly for making careless mistakes and tells him that this is the last time he will repeat the same lesson. He demands Joe pay close attention. He explains that footwork is the core of both defense and offense in real combat. Most fighters only use it to move around, but true professionals use footwork to control distance, read the opponent, and find the perfect moment to strike. Without that understanding, the coach warns, defeat is guaranteed. Back in the present, the young man gasps in shock. Eujene suddenly appears behind someone unexpected, Park Young, the Korean language teacher at their school. The sight completely stuns him, leaving him frozen on the spot. Eujene uses his quick movements to get into the blind spot and delivers a punch to his face right when he is about to react. The other guys along with Sang-gu are shocked to see him take down with little effort. Eujene looks at the standing men and orders them to come at him one by one or all at once. Right when two of those start to charge towards him, they are taken down by Eujene in an instant, which creeps out the last person. Without wasting any time, Eujene sprints towards him and takes him down with a single flashy punch to his face, whose force is felt by the remaining guys on the terrace. After Eujene successfully completed the mission, the scroll appears in front of him which says that a reward is granted. The scroll hands him a healing herb and he discovers that he could store it. Eujene picks up the pack's leader and gets him to wake up as he would be his next ride. After a while, in the school's corridor, many students catch sight of the school's #1 bully giving a ride to Eujene. Eujene says he was looking for the demonic cult, which makes the Sang-gu shake off unknowingly. Eujene starts to hit him on the head for not walking straight and proceeds to speak out the names of cults that were present in his world. He fails to remember all the names and asks Sang-gu if he knows anything about them. Sang-gu responds with a doubt which prompts Eujene to hit him in order to clear his mind and make him remember. Sang-gu struggles to get his words out of his mouth and says Jeonnan's greatest sword. Eujene is stunned after listening to his words. Eujene sits quietly on his desk waiting for the third bell to ring so that Jeonnan's greatest sword arrives in the class. Eujene is shocked when he sees a normal teacher enter the class with a bamboo stick on him. Park Jeonnam, the teacher, orders everyone to open their books. Feeling frustrated, Eujene thinks the situation could be like this since there would be no other martial artist like him in this world. Meanwhile, in another class, Sang-gu feels a chill down his spine. He wonders what he was expecting from this world and that he could have sensed their chi if they were present. While he is daydreaming on his chair, Gishin in the body of Eujene detects something accelerating towards him and tries to catch it but fails. He quickly climbs up his desk, screaming ambush, and asks who was behind it. The teacher Jeonnam, who threw the piece of chalk, wonders if he is crazy and orders him to come up to the front of the class. Having lowered his guard, Gishin realizes that it was the teacher and wonders if he could not even catch a small dart. While he was contemplating on his weak body, the teacher asked him if he was sick and told him to come to the front. Gishin stops to freak out and walks past the teacher towards the exit. The teacher catches his collar with the bamboo stick and asks him where he was going before the class is even over. He wonders about the kids and asks if Eujene doesn't have any respect towards the teachers. Gishin asks about the kind of pushover from Jeonnan's greatest sword and downplays it. The teacher quickly picks up and asks where he heard about that. When Gishin tries to clarify his question, the teacher cuts him off and orders everyone in the class to do some self-study. With a killer expression, the teacher orders Eujene to come with him quietly. Gishin follows the teacher to the terrace. Gishin gets irritated because everyone calls him outside when something happens here. The teacher questions Eujene if he is from Jeonnan. Eujene, with a weird face, asks why would Jeonnan send him here. The teacher wonders what he has been talking about in the class all this time and asks if he wants to get into trouble. The teacher waits for an answer, but he is replied with silence from Eujene, which makes him wonder if he is afraid and starts to laugh. Gishin, on the other hand, wonders about his threats apart from being a pushover and proceeds to laugh at the teacher who has started to laugh at his silence. After a brief back-to-back laughter, the teacher swings his bamboo stick towards him and says he would spare his head for his studies. When the stick is about to hit Gishin, he stops it with his hand. The teacher was amazed that he didn't even flinch and started to feel a pressure on him. The teacher feels he is going to die and leaps into the air to give him a kick to his face. The teacher regrets reacting without any thought towards a normal student. His move was blocked effortlessly by Gishin. Gishin feels excited because there is one more person like him who is a martial artist. After Gishin intercepts his attack, the teacher leaps back to get a good distance. Seeing his trembling hand, Gishin gets irritated by his weak body and thinks he could have landed a hit to his face right after that. Meanwhile, the teacher is shocked to see Eujene is a martial artist and almost used martial artist moves. The teacher wonders if he is not afraid of the shadow assassin and if he has been hiding all this time. While Eujene is screaming at the scroll to do something for him, the teacher thinks he is just sick. Eujene calls the teacher a pushover and asks why he is staring at him. The teacher gets irritated for being called a pushover by his student again and again. Gishin continues to taunt his teacher verbally. The teacher gets frustrated for his taunts, but he tries to calm himself. He tries to convince Eujene that the fact that he knows martial arts is a shocking revelation to his teacher, and he should not use it recklessly. Gishin cuts him off and says that the real trouble is the teacher running into him. The teacher tries to convince him and apologize for earlier, but Gishin says he cannot solve it with words. The teacher prepares for battle with his bamboo stick. Seeing him take a stance, Gishin gets excited to see if he is really Jeonnam's greatest sword for himself. Of his disbelief, Park Jeonnam admits that there is no teacher in this world who would see their student go astray and gives Eujene a final warning and not talk down on him. Gishin asks what might happen if he doesn't listen. Confidently, Park Jeonnam says he just crossed a line and vows for himself that he would do everything to discipline his student. Within a second, he leaps towards Eujene and swings his stick towards Eujene, which he dodges. Jeonnam makes a counter swing and Gishin blocks it with his hands and moves backward to dodge another swing. Seeing Eujene blocked by a wall, Jeonnam sprints forward for a hit. Gishin notices a mop stick and tosses it into the air, distracting Jeonnam. Taking advantage of the opening, Gishin kicks the teacher, which he blocks using his stick. Jeonnam feels pathetic for getting distracted from the fight. He feels impressed that Eujene has worked his ass off to reach this level of skill at his age. The teacher then prepares himself for Jeonnam's 36 swords of the world. Gishin gets excited upon hearing this and breaks off the mop stick to get himself one stick. Gishin remembers that the cult leader always used to tell him to fix his habit and said it was unlucky. Gishin declares he would show him the real Jeonnam's 36 swords of the world. The teacher lets out a sigh and wonders how many times he would surprise him. After a short moment, they literally disappear on the terrace and advance towards each other, unleashing the power of Jeonnam's 36 swords of the world. Their sticks collide and the Gishin stick starts to overpower the teacher's, breaking it at the end. After the dust settles, the teacher freaks out after he sees a shadow assassin catching hold of the arm of Eujene. After feeling the grip of the shadow assassin's hand, Gishin shakes him off, promoting the assassin to leap backward. The shadow assassin briefs him that Eujene has disrupted the order and rules of the martial alliance and used martial arts recklessly and betrayed the sanctity of Murim shall be punished. Gishin admits that the world has gone crazy and asks when did martial arts become holy. The shadow assassin becomes furious and accuses him of acting shamelessly and using martial arts on a civilian. Gishin is shocked and asks how did the person look like a civilian while pointing towards the teacher. Gishin is pissed off at the weak martial arts and their standards. The shadow assassin states that martial arts are not for thugs like him and the alliance will judge his actions. He asks if he knew about the role of shadow assassin. Gishin tries to taunt him with his words. The teacher lets out a small laugh at the shadow assassin, who is visibly pissed. The assassin states his role is to enforce the order of the world and protect civilians by restricting the reckless martial arts use. They are the shield of the Murim. Gishin says he would smash his head with that shield. He vows to destroy that justice of his and his alliance as there would be someone obsessed with their twisted sense of justice. When they are about to engage, the teacher comes in the middle stating that there has been a misunderstanding. The person is his student and that wasn't even martial arts. He tries to convince the shadow assassin to let this matter slide and this would never happen again. The shadow assassin tries to reason that he is just doing his duty. The teacher tries to convince him that he is his student, which echoes through the air. Eujene hits the teacher and asks why he would be his student. The shadow assassin freezes and asks if he really took him as his disciple. When Eujene tries to speak out, the teacher covers his mouth and says that he is still not good at martial arts and requests him to understand. The teacher says that he would be branded as a dangerous person if he is dragged to the alliance. He admits that he is worried about the kid's future because of his mistake. The teacher says maybe it is not a coincidence for him being in charge of this area and brands it as fate. The shadow assassin asks if he still believes in that superstition and retreats from the area after his final warning. The teacher feels relieved after he is gone and tells Eujene that they need to have a talk. Gishin asks if he is not allowed to use martial arts without permission in the area, to which the teacher nods. Gishin gets frustrated as to why other people keep making up rules about his power. The teacher says they no longer survive through brute force and strength alone, and that times have changed. Gishin calls this place a dumb place and complains that he ends up somewhere weird. He realizes that if martial arts exist, the demonic cult might also exist and tries to ask this to the teacher. The teacher is about to exit the roof as he has a class to teach and not like the one who could skip the class. He tells him that they can talk after their classes, to which Gishin asks if those are more important than this. The teacher ignores him and closes the door behind him. Gishin is irritated by his position and suddenly the scroll appears in front of him. Gishin sits in his class with an intimidating presence. He looks up at the scroll visible near him which says about a special mission. He can proceed after completion of the prerequisite mission and it is currently at a 30% completion. In the evening after school hours, the teacher Park Jongman finds Gishin sleeping on his desk. The teacher wakes him up and wonders if he is the same person who was almost dragged off by the shadow assassin. They discuss for a while and Gishin's head is clear after the nap. He realizes that the moment he says his name out loud, his words just vanishes. He remembers the words of his cult leader to not act recklessly. The teacher asks him if he is paying any attention to him. Gyusan suddenly starts to act like he is suffering with a bad headache from the fight earlier and says he is having a bad memory. Seeing no reaction from the teacher, he quits his act. Then the teacher asks if he can't remember because he hit his head and admits that happens sometimes. The teacher compares his condition to what the main character in a martial arts comic goes through and says he cannot ignore his students' struggles and offers his help. Listening to his simple response, Gishin asks if there is any demonic cult. The teacher questions his timing for that question and says there is no such thing. Gishin became white as the demonic cult was destroyed a long time ago. When the teacher asks the reason for his question, Gishin replies that he could know if there are any dangerous things left around. A girl appears at the moment, identifying Eujene. While Gishin wonders about the girl, she introduces herself to the teacher as Kim Minjong from Class 3. The teacher asks if she is heading home with Eujene, to which she agrees. The teacher tells them to leave their home without skipping a beat, which shocks Eujene aka Gishin. The teacher thought he was a hassle, but it worked out. While walking on the street, Gishin thinks that the absence of the demonic cult is the reason for the peace on this land. He questions Minjong where she was going, to which she replies that they are going to their home. Gishin asks if they are living together. She replies that he must have been exhausted today and clarifies that they have been living together for over 3 years. He freezes for a moment. Minjong says her dad is making something delicious for dinner, which makes him remember that he has to eat something and think about the other things later. Right when he was about to walk, he notices something odd and grabs Minjong's hand. They run towards an alley. Gishin senses some people approaching them from the rooftops like ninjas. A couple of people in full black with masks to their face surround them. One of the guys asks if he is the one. The other replies that he has heard about him and did not see him. Another one admits he is the one since he knew they were following him. They look at them, only to see Minjong unconscious on the road. They thought he might have fled the scene, leaving his friend behind. A second later, Gishin jumps from the rear of a person and smashes him to the ground. Gishin puts Minjong to sleep and takes out one of the shadow assassins. While he hangs on a rope across the rooftops, another person in black tries to capture him, but he quickly leaps higher into the air and throws a punch at him. He tries to block it using his sword but is sent down with a great force. The other shadow assassins were shocked to see his display of power. Gishin asks if they have not prepared themselves for this after following him. One of them declares that they should fall back as he is more tough for them to handle. When one of them tries to argue on falling back, she says her instincts say that Gishin is dangerous. The one who fell on the ground stands up and says he has let his guard down for a second. He orders everyone to draw their weapons and get ready for the battle. Gutchin says that petty reasons like he let his guard down led to the death of the people back in his days. The shadow assassin says he didn't even hear such advice from his leader, let alone he has to listen to it from some arrogant punk. The black-clad person says he would die here due to his arrogant mouth, and he vows to end Gutchin in one strike. Gutchin, being confident, tells him to come at him if he has guts. Gutchin realizes that his body won't move due to its weakness, and he thought taking one down might fear the rest. He thinks of the trickster scroll to show up as he thinks it was his doing and screams at them to come and get him. Gutchin continues with his taunts with his opponents and thinks that he is screwed and begs the trickster scroll to come up. One of them advances towards him and he leaps back to get away from the swing of his blade. Seeing an opening, the other two leap towards him. The guy tells them to bring him to the brink of death and not kill him. One of the shadow assassins tries to strike him, but Gutchin dodges it. He says that he gave them one chance and activates a node near his heart, thinking that he doesn't care if his body explodes. While the second assassin advances towards him, the other one warns him not to do so, but it was too late for her warning. Gutchin grabs his right arm and separates it from his body. He stands on the rope like a savage and playing with the broken arm, saying that they needed to see some blood to learn a lesson, and throws his arm back to him. When the assassin threatens him to end his life, Gutchin says he should have gone to his tongue rather than his arm. Gutchin thinks the body would probably break apart as he has forced out a burst of power using pressure points, which would be less than 15 minutes. Gutchin thought of taking them down along with him and leaps down to get the others. Suddenly a chain wraps around his arm. It was their captain who caught Gutchin, and the others informed the captain that they need to call backup as he is dangerous. Without giving him time to think, he was dragged by Gutchin from the other end and smashed him to the ground. Gutchin breaks the chain with his palm in anger. Manhwa High School, which looks like a regular school, but it is a special school among martial artists for training the next generation of prestigious clans. Coming from a nameless family and selected as a scholarship student, there wasn't anything different from normal schools except that the meaning of strength has changed. She realized that today's strength is power, and it took only half a day for her to realize it. She was an outsider for the others, and she survived by being quiet and observing their moods. Because of that, her intuition has become sharper. After her graduation, she met the team leader for the first time. The Dark Division, which is a group that handles the dirty work. She was assigned to the 7th team, which is the weakest team. After all that struggle, she chose to work this way because of the money. She thought digging through a little dirt doesn't change much as her siblings can live better lives. The 7th team always did odd jobs, and her idea of the odd jobs could be life-threatening is a bit too much. After Gutchin completes his massacre, he approaches the girl who was watching him and says that she has better intuition than others. He offers her two options, one to run away without looking back. In that way she could live, but everyone here would be torn to pieces. The second option would be to kill him here and save everyone. She was in a state of shock when she was given the two options. Without wasting any time, Gutchin tells her to hurry up with her decision as her scheming won't change anything. She thinks Gutchin is looking down on her. When he was about to make his move to kill her, she makes her brain go overdrive on thinking and answers that she chooses the third option. Gutchin says there is no third option. She explains that he was in a hurry up until the last moment, and if nobody coming here would make a difference. She deduced that he is facing a problem on his own. She recognizes him as a true master and kneels before him to present a box of pills that they get for increase in the internal energy. He takes a look at them and says she has saved a lot, but notices that the pills were of a very low grade and not his worth. She admits the truth and stresses that as a true master as himself, he could use his internal energy or some other method by any means, and she offers to help him to find anything he might need. While she thinks it is an empty promise and how a person like her could do something precious to him, she contemplates over her actions and the future of her siblings and picks up her blade to strike back even if it ends in her death. She swings her blade to strike him, but she finds him eating something in a corner. Gutchin calls her a genius because he completely forgot about something he had that would help him in the situation. He says the others will make it home on their own and proceeds to carry Minjong and walk away. He took the box of pills with him and off towards the main road. She really cannot believe that he left them like that. Gutchin warns that the next time they try to follow him would lead to their death. She bows to him for leaving them alive. After a while, Gishin is puzzled because he doesn't know which direction to go. Both of them finally reach Minjong's home. She tells Eujene to wash up and put his clothes in the laundry as his clothes are dirty. They tried to sneak in slowly, but her father was waiting at the place. She quickly pushes Eujene into his room when she hears her father. Her father questions her for being late. She tells him that they were studying and lost in the flow to keep track of time. Her father believes her and tells her that he has prepared a special dish for her hardworking daughter. Gishin in Eugene's body covers his ears as they were making noise. He enters the bathhouse and opens the shower tap. He was amazed to see himself in the mirror. He realizes that he is a completely different person and not the Gishin anymore. He removes his shirt to see a skinny body and wonders if this is a man's body. After his wash, he kicks out of his bathroom and throws the towel across the room and thinks of his old days to heat a cauldron for hot water baths. He sees Minjong sitting on his bed. He quickly reacts and screams. Minjong also screams, which makes his father barge inside the room. His father also sees his naked body and screams at the sight and asks his daughter to close her eyes. After a while, Gishin meditates on his bed but gets distracted because of his previous naked event. He remembers the words of his teacher that the demonic cult does not exist and looks up the scroll which says the final reward would be him returning to his original body at any moment. 3 shadow assassins are sprinting on the roofs at night. One of the assassins is excited to be called by a person called Damro, who is calling everyone personally. The shadow assassin who interfered with the fight between Jongman and Gishin is one of them. He thinks the summon might be urgent. The other assassin is excited because all the regional shadow assassins will be present. Another shadow assassin cuts their chatter and asks them to focus as this might be a very serious matter. Suddenly they receive a voice from their earpieces. It is the voice of Damro. He feels awkward as this has been a while for him and gets straight to the point. He announces that there is some investigation to be done, which is not a huge deal. He reveals that in Korea, traces of demonic arts are discovered. The captain of Team 7, John Ho, arrives at the 15th floor of a high-rise building wearing a suit. He lets himself into an office and greets a person in martial arts style. He reports about the unexpected incident during operations and apologizes for that. When the boss questions about the incident, he remembers everything about the previous night involving Eujene. John explains that they were discovered by a shadow assassin while recovering the body handled by Team 2, and because of that, 1 shadow assassin and 4 of the Team 7 members ended up in a fight. He informs about the time of recovery for all the members and that they cannot continue activities any longer. The boss doesn't care and responds to him normally, which puzzles John. The boss explained that the Team 7's leader is not present at the scene and joined later, and he tries to threaten his position by stating that the internal policies doesn't allow that. The boss clarifies that making fuss over a small issue won't be good on him as the team leader and tells him to file the report to headquarters as an accidental fall. John thinks that this place has always been the same, and every low-level person is just replaceable. As John was about to leave the office, the boss asked John why he didn't process the body without using the Golden Lock formation. John froze in his place. It is a formation which creates a space separated from reality, and lower-level agents like them use talismans and tools to set it up. Handling it without using that is an unthinkable offense in their organization. The boss looks at his flustered face and says he thinks there is more to his story, but it doesn't really matter to him. He pats his shoulder and says he should be moving up to Team 6 leader for a higher pay. The boss tells him to keep things quiet for this quarter. He walks to the rooftop and burns through a pack of cigarettes. He was about to take the last one out of the pack and recalled the incidents of the previous night. After he was conscious, he saw his team members injured and laying down. He asks Eujene, the girl, to call for backup. He sees her crying and asks what has happened. Eujene tells him that they need to keep a low profile of Park Jongman's disciple. He quickly knew that it was the right call because she is the only member with good intuitions that could protect the team in crisis. John asks if everyone is alive and prepares to look after them. In the end, he asked for more details, but she never spoke a word of it. He blames himself for everything and thinks of himself as an incompetent leader. In the end, he gives her a gift wishing her birthday. John thinks it is better for his team to be at least alive somewhere else. The next day, Gishin is on the roof of the school wondering why the progress in the scroll has shot up from 30% to 80% in one day. The teacher, Park Jongman, walks out and asks him if he had gone home yesterday. Gishin tells him that he has been waiting for him for a long time. Jongman says he has come right after his class and asks him if he has gotten into any trouble again. Gishin brushes it aside and asks about the assassins around the area. Jongman explains that the one he has met yesterday is the shadow assassin, who is like the police. Gishin asks where he can run into those assassins. Jongman was quick to understand that something happened yesterday. While thinking about last night, Gishin looks at the progress bar of the scroll and realizes that the increased progress might be linked to the fight yesterday. He thinks that people like those might be around him and tries to feel any presence nearby. He quickly reveals a person hiding with a piece of cloth to a wall on the rooftop. This makes the teacher freak out of his life. Meanwhile, Eujene is worried that her team leader is not picking up any calls. She texted him to call her when he got this message. When she was about to unlock her apartment, she received a text message from her team leader that he would finish up and call. She felt relieved but quickly realized that John was never a text person. When she called him back, she could hear a ringtone from inside her apartment. When she barged through the door, she was greeted by her two little siblings. They tell her that a friend from her workplace came to visit her and he brought them a lot of snacks. Eujene tells both of them to go outside and get some ice cream while trying to keep a straight face. After they went out, she asked how he knew about this place. She could sense his sinister energy and thought of running away. She throws some smoke bombs and dashes out of the door as fast as she can. She thought the Dark Division had already sent someone so quick and wondered if her lies were discovered. The man uses the golden lock formation in the area. Eujene didn't see any talismans nearby and realized that he opened it by himself. He walks out of the apartment and tells Eujene that he wants to have a word with her. He introduces himself as Seo Juho, the Team 3 leader of the Dark Division. He pulled out a hand blade and informed her that she couldn't leave unless he personally released her. He then inquired about the details of the previous day's incident. He iterates that the report says his brother has lost his arm and his mind in a fall and is now half crippled. She was still shocked to discover his true identity when Juho abruptly stabbed a dagger into her thigh. He coldly stated that a shadow assassin would never hesitate, then demanded the precise details of that day. As he repeated the question, they hear a sound from the rear. Gishin then appeared on the scene, accompanied by the individual he had caught spying on them from the rooftop. Gishin instructed Juho to come with him for a moment. Before they reach Juho, the team leader of Team 3, Gishin senses the golden lock formation near the building. The person who was apprehended was flustered by Gyusan's detection, as even a true master would be unable to sense a golden lock formation, which was one of the reasons Damro of the Shadow Assassins could not capture the Dark Division. Gishin began to grab hold of the barrier and tear it apart, which shocked the person even further. Gishin grabs hold of Eugene's arm and takes him with her. Juho catches the other arm of Eujene and asks them how they get inside the golden lock formation, as they were certainly not inside the area when he released it. Gishin proceeds to walk away from him. Juho says he is a troublemaker, which catches the attention of Gishin. He asks about Juho's identity. Juho points a blade at his throat and tells that he is the first guest to arrive, so he appreciates a little courtesy. Gishin backs out and tells him to go first. Juho asks about some credible answers on what happened to his brother the previous day. Eujene apologizes for the false report and tells him that they were attacked by an unknown assailant and everyone was put in danger. They were not able to identify the person as he was wearing a mask. Juho tells her that the first day of his job, the first thing he learnt was to always be on guard and trust no one, not even his teammates, and stabs her abdomen. He tells her to control her breathing after seeing her tremble this much. Juho then senses an overwhelming presence and looks around to see Park Jongman walking towards them. Jongman says when he left Jongman, he swore to himself that he wouldn't enter the martial world again. Juho realizes that he was the person to break through the golden lock formation. Jongman borrows the blade of Eujene and tells Juho that he needs to be given some beating. Eujene identifies the person as the former greatest sword of Jongman, Park Jongman. Jongman thinks his heart is beating wildly and Gutchin asks if he is fine as his breathing is all over the place. Jongman realizes that he is not the greatest sword anymore, but he hasn't forgotten the way of the sword. He sprints towards Juho and tries to strike him, but he evades. Juho thinks his flow is good, but he can dodge it. Right at that moment, Jongman sped up his sword strike to lure Juho into dropping his guard. Juho thinks the situation is getting complicated as he only wanted to subdue him and starts to use the Night Flower False technique. Juho sprints towards Jongman and attacks him from all the sides as he tries to defend from him and his afterimages. Jongman is being cut from all the sides and Eujene gets flustered as it is too much even for the greatest sword. Gutchin asks Eujene where he could find her boss. She gets distracted by the fight between Juho and Jongman, but he tells her to focus on his question. When he forces her attention towards him, he explains that Jongman would never lose. He explains about the 4 principles of swordsmanship, which are Dan, Jung, Kui and Huan, where Dan is the art of controlling a space with a slow sword. Jung is to put weight into the sword. Kui is to make the sword swift and concise, and Huan is to trick the opponent by feinting the sword path. Mastering one of the secrets is considered a win, but to be called as a master who mastered all of these is not worth being called a master or swordsman. Jongman is able to break out from Juho's technique. Eujene says someone at the lower levels doesn't know much information and a person like Juho might know as he is the Team 3 leader. He is shocked to hear that, and she shared it a bit late that he outranks his team leader and is close to her boss. Juho thinks he might have broken his technique, but he lost a good amount of blood. Jongman leaps to strike, but suddenly Gutchin barges in the middle, which shocks both of them. Gutchin asks Jongman if he knows that time is money and gives him one shot, which takes out Jongman. Gutchin catches his sword and with an evil look on his face, turns towards Juho to ask him something.